having this, you're gonna gain so much more, because I can step and I can throw over the top of the shield. I can dip it. I can step in and dip below the shield, and then he's going to try to be controlling. So he's going to reach out with that shield, trying to meet me, and then I can just roll underneath very easily. And we'll talk about that. I mean, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but the idea is just having that ready position where you're not overextended, you're centered, and I'm pointing, roughly at this spot on my intended victim. So that's a good beginning. Let me erase this here real quick. And the thing I wanted to talk about is, as far as some of the cool mechanic things you get out of weapons, is that most weapons, if I'm holding a single sword, got my T-ons here, whatever, and the tip. When I'm whipping that sword around, generally what I'm doing is I've got the end of the lever, and I've got a cone. I can rotate it. There's my control. I'm controlling it here, and I can whip that around or gyrate it at the end, like I can roll it. If I have after a while, instead of gyrating it around the end where the handle is, I can get some gyration where it's like this, where I can move my hand and the center of the blade sits still. I'm moving my hand, and then the tip of the blade is actually moving. But a two-handed weapon, you can get a double gyration where it's kind of hard to draw, but you get one. This right here is a rotation. Your hand is still here when you're rotating, but you can get a double rotation where you basically have a crossover. This may be hard to see, but you get 2 points of control. If you imagine those dots are your hands. So if these are your hands, you can do a gyration on the weapon where instead of just holding it out and then rotating it around where I'm just holding this at the back, I can also do, like if I'm sliding up, I can have both of my hands, and depending on where they are, I can have them very close together, and I can do it as I'm rotating. I'm getting a gyration on both ends, and then the farther I go, I'm still getting a gyration. They're just smaller controlled circles. But what's nice about that, or what's cool about that, is that right now I'm doing it in I'm balanced in the middle of the weapon, but you can telescope or pull in, and you can do like a double gyration. I mean, the farther you are on either end, the more you're going to drop into like a single gyration, which is more like a two-handed sword. But anything that you can actually slide up on the grip, including like a mace, anything that's got a haft on it, you can do that double gyration, and then that's when you can do some really cool and interesting things, because if you get to that balance point, you have faster rotation. If you're way out here, and I'm on point, and I reach back here, and I take the long weapon, and I do like these big, long circles. The bigger, longer lever, you can put more, power into it, but it's going to be a lot slower, right? But if you're standing here, and you slide your hands together, and you get that point of rotation. Now it seems like I don't want to get my hands too close together. Generally it's about probably 18 inches or so. You can get a really fast rotation. So when I'm standing here ready to go, I can thrust, I can roll my hands together, and I can whip it around really fast. And that's because I'm sitting at the center point. That center point of rotation is where you're really going to get the most acceleration, and the weapon actually is easier to manipulate because of that balance. You come to that equilibrium point, I'm ready, set to go. I can thrust up on somebody, and then I can bring my hands together. You can do moulinet, strike the legs. It's easier to actually do it, and you notice it's not away from my body out here. extended out like this. I mean, I'm extending, but I'm keeping balanced. And then when I step in, I've got my hands, and I'm not going to raise up and stand in this. This is basically the default, I don't want to get my ass clubbed position. It's not, and everybody does that. I go bang with an attack, somebody runs in, and then people go, and then they run around like this forever and a day. And you don't have to do that. What you can do is roll in, and then somebody attacks, you can bring it up. You can block their first one, roll through an attack, or roll across the top. You take the leg or whatever, but it all comes with manipulating that balance and that rotation of the gyration in the center of the weapon with two hands. A lot of people, I don't know, they think you can't do that as much. It's less so with the two-handed sword because you can't get right in the center of it, obviously. Yes. Okay.
I've noticed a couple times you saying take the leg. How often do you actually do that? Because it seems that people are willing to trade their leg for your head.
Oh, take a leg for, well, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Since we don't lose the body part.
Sure. No, definitely. I think priorities for my defense with a pole is, well, the first thing I like to do is keep you at range so you can't hit me at all. But if you're closing, the first thing I'm going to do is block. But I don't want to fall into a pattern of defense. In the most, I mean, this goes through my entire fighting style philosophy is you should have a dynamic transition between offense and defense. You should immediately be able to counterpunch or take a blow, like an attack, and convert it into your own attack. I should, you know, I move in, I make an attack, I am leading, I am the one who's, you know, initiating. Somebody will come at me, they will attack me, and then instead of just completely folding and letting them control and being in defense mode, I will immediately counterpunch or strike back, or, you know, strike a leg or whatever. I don't want them to ever think that if they just do one thing, they can fold me up, and then that's all they have to do, their work is done. I want them to take that first strike and realize that they're going to have to work for every single step that they're going to make. And I know what you're saying. A lot of times you'll get the one strike, and then you'll come back in and you'll get in defense mode, and if I want to chop for the leg, they're just going to bust me in the head. Obviously, you're going to have some speed, and that comes a lot with this, because a lot of people go like this and they get their hands so wide apart that once they go here, there's no way you can rotate. You physically can't turn the weapon because your hands are too far apart. You can't get any rotation. So learning the technique of rotation, I think we'll probably spend some time doing that, doing Milanese, doing you know, an oar stroke roll, doing drills where we're actually doing the change hands. You hardly ever see people change hands. And I think it's because everybody thinks that you need to like spontaneously do both or something. And I don't know, it's crazy. Like the weapon comes up and they want to flip to the other side and they go like, oh, I can't, like, and a lot of times it has to do with just the gauntlets won't come undone. You're not flexible enough, or the way it's cut out, it grabs on too much, which we have to overcome. There's definitely some good gauntlets out there. I mean, I've got some basic egg armor gauntlets. They seem to work pretty darn good. I can
What about when you get hit in the hand?
Yeah, that's no fun. That's yeah. There's not a lot of protection of that, but at least you have something that bridges. Everybody who fights with finger gauntlets, I like the dexterity of those, but there are not a lot of protection. And it would be really nice, I mean, to come up with that. I mean, that's a completely different subject. We should talk about different types of gauntlets and stuff.
We should.
But a good set of finger gauntlets that actually is protective would be awesome. I know that Marcus has been working on that for like probably 10 years
or more. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know Morgan Gianniak?
Yeah, I've seen some of his stuff.
With it's got a mitten, but then it's got fingers under it.
Oh, I've seen
Yeah.
Which is a really nice. I don't know that many people.
Yeah,
use
we'll
them,
definitely talk about those, but I mean, not everybody has, you know, $400 or $600 or